it comes to physics-based things, if they're basing it off of a stockless physics, in my mind, once you add a stock to a weapon and you have it more married to the person's shoulder and the whole body is taking these hits, these impulses, right? That may be kind of one of their flies in the ointment, or maybe some tweaks they need to make that may help them get it where they want it to be. Hey boys and girls, hope you're doing well. I want to do a quick and dirty one talking about Recoil and Escape from Tarkov. Because Nikita recently said in a podcast that they're looking at maybe making some adjustments to how the recoil works in the game. Most importantly, to focus on the recoil compensation, how the player character compensates for recoil. And what they've kind of found out, he talked about what they kind of found out is because of kind of the complexities that underlie how recoil is kind of managed and calculated with Escape from Tarkov, it makes it a little bit tricky for them to tweak it. It's not just the more standard things we've become accustomed to with first-person shooters. Because it's physics-based, it's like changing one thing kind of cascades down and trickles down to a bunch of other things. So they're having to kind of maybe take a look as kind of like a whole, like make a bunch of different tweaks, right? And so that got me thinking, and I wanted to show something here to talk about maybe one thing they could consider that might be throwing things off on their end. Okay, and it has to do with how stocks impact the game. So we're going to pull something up and look at this together. I'm just going to do really quick, right? This is with the Glock 18C. I chose it because it's like kind of outlandish pistol, right? Super high rate of fire. It's 9 mils, so it's not punching that hard back into the shooter, and it just has super high rate of fire, and it's just exaggerated, right? And it also allows for a stock and no stock. So what I've done is we have a no stock versus a stock, and I'll run this real quick, and we'll compare, and I'll dive into more detail. Okay, so check this out. We're going to go frame by frame here. Let's see where the shots break. They break about right here. I've kind of superimposed this picture in the middle to see where they come. Now, watch where this goes. Without a stock, look how high this goes. This is skipping off way high. And even higher, right? We're getting even higher. That's about as high as it goes. Then it starts gradually coming back down. And same thing if we look on the right side. With a stock, we see that the rounds skip pretty high. It gets about right here, right? Which if you compare it to the initial point of impact, that's a pretty good angle. Now, what's interesting with Tarkov is I don't have the stats pulled up here, but what we see is that if you look at the stats for a stock, they talk about recoil reductions, right? So maybe it's a minus 38% recoil, okay? Now, what I think is interesting here is I'm going to try to show how when they apply it so let's picture like just a pistol, it's very flippy, okay? So let me give you another example. I'll pull up another illustration here. A pistol is inherently very flippy, okay? Just because of how it's handled. So let's picture, I'm exaggerating here, but let's just say, here's where the shot is broken, and then boof, right? And again, the animation's janky. Blame Bob Ross on that for that one, okay? But the animation's janky. But this is the best I can do for this, okay? So here we go. It's rocking back. Boom, 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 boom. The recoil impulses are going straight back into the wrist, and the wrist is more or less, it's pretty weak, right? It takes some, so the way the game is showing this is that those initial recoil impulses jerk the weapon up, right? Boom, 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 boom. And the shots now are breaking, right? And they're going high, high, high. And like as the player character gets a handle on it, as he kind of gets that initial impulse, he's able to drive the gun back downward, right? So this is kind of what we're seeing. It starts, boom, 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 boom. And then the player character kind of more or less quickly brings it back down. Pretty close. Not exactly the level it was before, but somewhat close. It's kind of how the game represents it, right? Now this might make sense if we're talking about, again, the recoil impulses from the wrist, right? Once we start looking at with a stock, however, this starts becoming a little screwy. So watch what this would mean. It goes and it's braking. Let's say that even the angle is here. Well, if you focus on the muzzle end, okay, that might make sense. But here's where things start not making sense. Is look at the back end. Look at the buttstock, okay? What this would mean is in order for the gun to flip and muzzle to rise like that, the buttstock would have to be sliding down the shooter's shoulder, right? Losing its place and going down, right? Either that, I don't show it here, it's kind of hard to show. Either that or you'd see it as if the recoil impulse is, well, let's look at it strong. If the recoil impulse is too strong, you have the spine angle of the shooter, right? The shooter is positioned, he kind of tends to hunch forward a bit, right? To get his weight behind the gun, his posture and skeleton behind the gun, right? When he drives the gun forward. So that any of this recoil that's going straight back into his shoulder is being absorbed by his body, more or less, right? That's why you try to marry the gun to your body when you're shooting full auto. Any shot, but especially full auto, right? You're trying to get it to where it has to buck your entire body. That's a lot more weight and mass that it has to move, right? So what this would mean is either it's flipping, like I'm showing here, or it's causing the body to rock back, which if we're talking about a 9mm, it shouldn't be rocking the person back. And that's not what we're seeing if you look at how it's represented, at least from the first-person perspective. You see it as a flip in the hand, right? Which would mean the stock is sliding. Now, so a more maybe plausible representation would be instead of having recoil in the game be based off of a standard, let's just call it no-grip flip recoil. Once a stock is added to the gun, it would apply, let's call it a new recoil profile, let's say, right? Where what would it be? It would be more reciprocating, okay? Whereas as the shots are broken, it's not rotating and flipping, right? It's staying positioned on the shoulder. And then it's just the impulses going back, right, into the shooter, right? And there could be some jostle, like I talked about in part one, we're talking about bloom mechanics. You look at like old school Rainbow Six, old school, original Rainbow Six. These games that function on bloom mechanics and how that's what you would see. You would see dispersion around a central position, right? The intended point of aim and the muzzle dispersing around that area. Because, you know, this isn't going to be a tack driver where every single hole is right behind the first one, right? It's not going to be like that. It'll just be, there's a little bit of a shake and jostle, right? Now, if we look at, talking about spine angle and stuff, if we look at things with the rifle, take something that is more punchy, right? Does some more stuff back in the shooter. It would be kind of like, imagine it kind of playing out like this. The shot breaks and boom, it pushes back into the shooter. But if you imagine this break, imagine it's hard. Oh, maybe I could show it. One sec. Let me move this back here. So imagine it like this. The shot breaks. It jerks back into the shooter, which causes this to rise a bit, right? Boom, boom, boom. Okay? That's typically what causes a flip or a rise. We're talking about heavier caliber rifles, right? It comes back down to the shooter's posture and how he's able to brace for that impact, right? And it just comes with practice. I mean, once you get a good stable firing platform, you'll see this becomes not much of a flip and more of just a straight back, right? You learn how to take it and how to position yourself. So, I guess in a nutshell, that's what I was going for. What I'm getting at is if you draw this stock from this gun, it should not be flipping, okay? So that may be one of the, when it comes to physics-based things, if they're basing it off of a stockless physics, in my mind, once you add a stock to a weapon and you have it more married to the person's shoulder and the whole body is taking these hits, these impulses, right? That may be kind of one of their flies in the ointment, or maybe some tweaks you need to make that may help them get it where they want it to be. Cool. So I hope that makes some sense. Thanks for watching, and catch you guys and gals next time. Adios.